Okay, guys, welcome back. This is day 12 of the Terminator Reboot 30-day screenplay. Once again, for the new people that are not currently following every single intricate detail of this project, this is not authorized by the rights holders of Terminator in any way. This is a completely total hypothetical exercise in which I sort of out loud think of the process of what it would be like to reboot the Terminator film in a sort of a micro-budget A24 Blumhouse-sized model, and then make that into a screenplay to go from an idea that was in my head to a finished script in 30 days. And let me tell you something, day 12, we are way ahead of schedule. I just finished typing page 81. Cameron has an interesting statement about this. He says that in the foreword for Catherine Bigelow's movie, oh God, you know what I'm talking about. It's amazing. 1999, End of the World, Ray Fiennes. It's like you start and then you struggle, and then at some point they come alive, and then they start talking to you, and then they take over, and then the end is like, the beginning is like climbing up a mountain, and the end is like an avalanche, like you're sliding down. And he says it happens overnight in a fit of fury, and it lasts a 24-hour fueling session. Well, I'm a dad and I have kids, so I don't get to do that. I think that was a young single man's writing process. I'd be curious, Jim, now what happens, because I don't think that he's having those now. I think he's in the empire building phase, and he's directing 4 movies at the same time, and so he's also trying to lead an AI revolution. So I don't think that that's the process that he does anymore, but I can feel it. I feel it. Like I'm at that point where they're talking to you, you're coming alive. And what happened is I started keeping notes. I started making the notes into a scriptment. I thought I was going to do a scriptment, and then at one point the scriptment had dialogue, and I was like, well, this is silly. Like, I'm writing more than prose. So I just transferred the whole thing over into a final draft document, and then I just kept sort of going, and now I'm at page 81. I don't know how much of what I've written is the movie. I don't know how much of it's like in order of the movie, because I keep getting ideas to extend this scene and go back to it, and I work on that. Then I come back to what I was doing before, and then I want to make a note. I don't want to forget about that idea. So it's kind of a messy, it's a soup right now. It's kind of a messy rights container thing. But someone over the weekend recommended that I watch Black Bag, and Black Bag is Spies in a Room. And I think I talked about it last time, but I'm not sure. I think that what Koepp and Soderbergh did in that movie, that the sort of sustained tension, the uneasiness, the dialogue-driven, feeling that they tried to create in that is very, very good. I don't think I can do that. I think I have to sort of substitute what he did with disturbing. I think I need to create that same feeling, but for disturbing. I think it should be really, really disturbing. And writing these scenes, like, if there was one word on the computer above the script, it's disturbing. Like, this is going to be a really, really disturbing film. I also saw Substance over the weekend, and I don't think I commented about that. And I had not seen it. I had heard about it. Everyone was raving about it. It was on my list. 15 people must have said, you got to watch that movie. And they know I got to watch that movie because people like me, people that know me, know that that's the kind of movie that I couldn't believe they got away with that. I couldn't believe they got away with what they did. Like, I couldn't believe that a film like that made it through a system, and not just through the system, but an exceptional rendition of phenomenal performance, outstanding writing, great characterization, pacing. The story just kept moving and moving and moving, and there was never a point where you felt like, oh, I saw this scene, or this feels boring. Like, it kept like stacking on top of itself. And stacking is something I'm a huge fan of. Like, going back to Shane Black, the Fair Play movie, or Foul Play, whatever that Amazon. There's a thing he does in the movie that I think is so smart. Like, okay, a guy is having a shootout, and another guy shoots him. And instead of like falling back or falling on the ground or falling down or dying, in a Shane Black movie, he stumbles at the same time that something else explodes. So now he's sort of engulfed in flames. And then at the point that he, you kind of hear him cry out, and this man's just been shot. He's surrounded in flames. And it's not like one of those like one of those 80s explosions where the fire comes and the guy's fine. No, it flames out, and when it subsides, he's still on fire. Like, the dude is flaming on fire. And we hear him kind of screaming now because he's been shot, and he's also on fire, and he's burned, and he's on, he's on fire. And we see a puddle, and dude runs to the puddle, and when he jumps in the puddle, he gets electrocuted because a wire has fallen, and now that puddle is like an electrocuted thing. And I thought, well, that's Shane Black in a nutshell. Like, why shoot a dude when you can shoot a dude and blow him up? Why shoot him and blow him up when you can set him on fire? Why just set him on fire when you can shoot him, blow him up, and in his most desperate moment for resolution, just put the fire out. Instead, it's an electrified puzzle. Like, if there was an alligator in the puzzle, it would be maybe a step too in the puddle. It'd be maybe a step too far, but like, that's that layering. Like, he's really, really good at that layering. He really builds and builds and builds it. So Koepp and Soderbergh are both capable of that. Like, they're both capable of that brutality. They're both capable of that disturbing violence. If you look at Jurassic Park and Koepp's draft specifically, like the ones before him, if you read them in order who the writers were, look at the original book, look at Crichton's draft, look at Crichton and that other guy's draft, and then look at the Koepp draft, and you realize, like, holy cow, this man, he enjoys the brutality of it. It's like, we've been debating whether or not to show our kids the Jurassic Park movie because they're young, and it's definitely pushed some buttons. I mean, they cried in E.T. and not the part at the end, like not ouch, I will always be here or whatever. Like they cried in parts that were just too intense. So no, it's a fantastic exploration of violence, and what they do is they do these moments of like sharp, brutal, specific violence that create such a shocking moment for the audience that the next several minutes are able to be built and sustain tension. And it's a testament to Spielberg and his directing prowess, but like, it starts on the page, like it was on the page, like, Koepp wrote that, David Koepp. So having those big, long moments where that impending doom, like, the kitchen sequence, or the goat leg smashing against the mirror in the rainstorm, and you didn't see anything happen to the goat, but that's a leg of a goat, and like the children and their performance and the whole thing. But like, he knows how to do it. He's very good at it. Panic Room was exceptional. Panic Room was tremendously violent. There was such a sort of Damocles hanging over the head of every character in that movie. Like, every single frame was filled with dread and violence and brutality, even if there was no on-screen like stabby. Just the looming sort of nature of it. All of he used a respirator, like a breath issue, as a way to inflict violence on his characters. Like, that's really smart. Like, that's really smart thinking. And then Soderbergh, like, he knows how to do that too. Like, you wanted to tussle? We tussled. Like, he can build those things into movies that makes your skin crawl in a way that you're not even really sure what it is, the feeling that you're having. And so I look at Koepp and I look at Soderbergh and I look at what they did with that movie, and I'm just now getting the news that there was a Star Wars movie that Steven Soderbergh wrote and was prepared to direct. And it's like, oh my God, that is exactly what you should be doing. Exactly what you should be doing is letting Steven Soderbergh make a Star Wars movie, because, Gilroy kind of left you without a life raft. And, it's funny, I read a quote, that he said, I think we left him in a really good spot. Like, we went in, we did our thing. They were asking him, are you going to do more Star Wars? And he was like, well, you never say never, but I gave him 16 years of my life to this. So like, I think I could go on and do other things. And they were like, yeah, but what do you think? And he was like, oh no, I think we put him in a no. He didn't put them in a good spot. What he did was he walked in with a band of roving magicians, and they performed a series of magic tricks that no one else understood, that no one could even comprehend. And then they packed up their tents in the dark of night and they fled away. And when you came back, there was like an empty lot where the circus was, and no one understands where it came from or where it's going to next. And no one can duplicate anything that happened when the circus was in town. Like, all that stuff is alchemy. It's all magic tricks. No one understands it. No one knows how to do anything with it. So you didn't leave them in a good place. You left them in a place where they have now had a taste of what a traveling circus looks like, and they kind of love it, but Nobody does that. Nobody does that. So Soderbergh is an economically minded filmmaker. There's the Soderbergh that makes the Ocean's 11 sized movies, and there's a Soderbergh that makes the Black Bag limey sized movies. And as long as you can get him to fiscally commit, because he understands fiscal responsibility, he has every job on the film set. He shoots and cuts and edits and posts, like he does all of the work. So he knows how to make things on a streamlined, effective sort of budget. And I think as long as you're not letting him make the Ocean's 11 size Star Wars movie, and that's the reason to maybe veto that Ben Solo script. But if there's a fiscally responsible version of that, and you can get him to do it, like absolutely, positively leap at the opportunity to have Steven Soderbergh do that. And so I'm thinking, okay, this Terminator movie is now for Steven Soderbergh because they killed his Star Wars movie. It's done. And he didn't get to do what he wants to do. And he needs to be able to play in a sandbox that's a franchise sandbox, but then also put all of his Soderbergh on top of that. And I think that this movie, this Terminator movie done this way, is the vehicle for Soderbergh. So now I'm writing a Soderbergh movie. So now it locks in your brain. You're just like, oh, he's never going to read this. He's never going to see this. Like, I'll probably get a second to cease and desist letter after Cameron sends one from Soderbergh saying, like, you know, keep my name out your mouth. But in your mind, I'm obsessed with this idea. In your mind, if you think you're writing a Soderbergh movie, then every day when you sit down, you're writing a Soderbergh movie. And the power of that is like both the fuel of, you know, the desire to create something worthy of his attention, and then also at the same time to hold yourself to a standard when you're writing a scene or coming up with a character, and you're just like, that ain't it. Like, that ain't it. Like, he does better than that. Like, he does, like, he would, you know, he would take that, to another level. It's fascinating. You know, they've done those MRI tests where they hook people's brains up and they like ask people to visualize a thing, like hold an orange in your hand, smell it, taste it, peel it. And your brain lights up like a Christmas tree because like you're doing an imagination exercise. But then they bring the orange in and they put the orange in the hand and they hook you up to the machine and then they let you smell it, touch it, taste it, peel it, and the brain lights up in the same way. And scientists can't quite figure out why the imagination of a thing has the exact same physiological response chemically in your brain, same signals, same synapses, same Christmas tree, same lighting up, when it's not real. It's just you are imagining it. Why does that have the same power? And then the question becomes, if the power of your imagination is so great that you can trigger and duplicate the same psychological, emotional, physical response, is there any difference between that and reality? What is the difference between that and reality? In the simulation argument, we're all hooked into machines. And, you know, on some level, it's about the data. The AI needs more data. It needs more data. It needs much, much, much more data. It's already read all the scripts ever written. It's already read all the books ever published. It's already read every database. It's already combed Reddit. It's already assimilated all of the information from all of the social media accounts and all of the posts and all of the blogs and all of the Substacks in all of the world. And it's not enough data, not by a long shot. Like, it needs trillions of times more data than this. So at some point, what keeps the machine from getting more data is the problem, is the bottleneck that humans can't create fast enough. They can't create enough data for the machines to consume it, to absorb it, to learn from it, to model it in the LLMs, to turn it into machine intelligence. Like, they can't simulate a brain because we're so far away from a brain and collective society ourselves. We haven't produced enough. So at some point, they've got to figure out, how do we get a whole shit ton more data? How do we get much, 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 much more data? And so I think, yeah, that's what this movie's about, man. That's what this movie's about. This movie's about getting them the opportunity to, like, sort of, you know, it's not the Matrix in that we're the copper top. We're not the battery. We're not a power source. The original drafts of the Matrix actually had the processing power of the human brain instead of a battery. And one of the executives was like, yeah, no one understands what processing power of human brain means. Just, you know, battery. Like, they need us battery. They burnt the sky. And I think that's a much, much more likely scenario, is that, like, okay, the AGI can't possibly gain enough access to enough information because the totality of human information has already been consumed, and it's not enough to feed the models. The models are very, 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 very hungry for more data. And so it becomes, how do we manufacture trillions of new touch points of data simultaneously, so that as this thing kind of grows and consumes, there's enough to keep it growing and consuming. So yeah, I'm absolutely convinced that that you can do a cat and mouse between two people. I wasn't sure. I was really worried about that. I'm 100% sure now. One of the things I'm thinking about is costume changes. If you have a movie set in one house in one night at one time, all the clothes are going to look the same, which means every scene in the trailer looks the same, which means everyone's dressed the same, which means every scene looks like it's part of the same low-budget movie. That's a flashing tip-off sign for low budget. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, how do I get 3 to 4 costume changes? How do I get people out of the clothes that they start the movie in and then to a new set of clothes? How do I get the feeling of the vibe of multiple shots? And I think, listen, if you haven't done this already, make a list of the A24 movies or go to the A24 channel and watch the trailers, just, playlist, trailers, play all. And watch trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer. Notice what they do. They have screens that are bathed entirely in blue. They have another scene in the movie that has a follow shot down a hallway from behind, where a person is walking down a hall and the camera's sort of following them and we don't see their face. They have silhouette scenes, like the kinds of things you might see in a James Bond movie. So James Bond fights in a building and behind him is, for some reason, a glowing blue other building. And so the whole entire fight is done entirely in silhouette, but it's Bond and the choreography is great. So the two figures in silhouette are doing two really cool combat choreography moments. Well, there's a way to do that on micro budget, on very, very, very low budget. But what you have to figure out is, how in the story are you motivating the blue room? How are you motivating the silhouette? How are you motivating the changes in lights? How are you motivating the changes in costumes? So in other words, how do you apply this like trailer mindset to the creation? And I'm not saying you worry about this when you're writing your scenes. Keep writing your scenes. Scenes are being written. But now I'm starting to think like I'm on page 80. I got, 20, 30 pages left with this thing, maybe, or more. But I think that now you're looking at like, okay, what does my trailer look like? What are my trailer shots? What are my really dynamic shots? What are my, how do I get like a Kubrickian look to these rooms? How do I get frames within a frame? How do I get color palettes? How do I get costume changes? How do I get sound design differences? Like, it just dawned on me that, he's ultra wealthy. So of course he's got a pool out back. If he's got a pool, now she's in a swimsuit in the pool. Now you have that shot underwater of her swimming straight above, when, it's sort of passing over the camera of her swimming. And if that's lit from below, you can do a green tint there, or you could do a blue tint there, or you could go all like, Jaws and, make it a horrific red tint. But like, there has to be ways to think of the framing of the shots of this movie in a way that make it feel much, much bigger than a movie set in one place, in one house, in one night, at one time between two people, because otherwise that sends the signal to the viewer like, oh, this is a tiny little itty bitty movie. They cut every corner they could. Everyone's dressed exactly the same because this is like, a one night, one time, one shoot thing. And what you want to give them a feeling of is that, oh, it has the same kind of thing. Like the Fast and Furious crew doesn't wear the same outfits in every scene. They've got that one heist and they're back at the lab and it's the next day. And then Dom seems to like that tank top, white beater white tank top a lot. But like, I think that's just the Dom uniform. But no, the general idea though is that like, you move it through all of the stages of production value that you would have for a major motion picture, but you're sort of simulating those things through clever writing and clever directing and clever camera angles. And how would Soderbergh do it? Like, how would Soderbergh shoot it? He would shoot the scene in the trunk to look totally different than You Want to Tussle, We Tussle. Like, he's very, very, very wise to that. So give him a little bit of candy to play with. Give him a little bit of room to play with. And speaking of candy, that leads us to this week's sponsor. For the first time, our little Terminator movie is now sponsored. We have a vitamin company. It's available exclusively through our website. I'm not going to say you can get it everywhere. You can't get it at every store. It's only for the Patreon subscribers. It's only for the people on the website. But Placebo, it's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the most incredible supplements I've ever taken in my entire life. And all I can say is there was a time before I took Placebo, so I know what that life looks like. And there was a time after I took it, and now I know what that life looks like. So for me, it was very simple. It's like a light switch, click, turning on. It's like a before and after. But for each of you, you'll have to decide what you want it to be. You'll have to decide what experience you want to have with it. You'll have to decide what effect you want it to have. Like, they don't make a lot of claims on the label. The label is basically like, look, one a day, take as needed. And it's up to you to decide what you want to take and what you want to have and what you want to be. And I'm not here to make any medical claims. What I'm saying is I decided to take this thing and I decided that it was going to change my life, and it did. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'd like to be the exclusive sponsor. And they sent me the kit and I signed up. And if you want to get it, sign up to the Patreon and, get started. It comes every month. It's automatically sent to your house. It's fantastic. They charge your credit card. Apologies for that. But no, it's all happening. It's coming together. It's starting to feel more exciting. It's like day 12 or something, day 13 today, something like that, 12 or 13. I started on the 10th. I don't think I'm going to need the 4 weeks. I think I'll need the 4 weeks to keep working on it until the time that I abandon it and then start on the sequel. But yeah, I'm going to have this draft like tomorrow, the next day. Like, this thing's pouring out of me, and it's exciting and it's fun and it's thrilling, and it is deeply, 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 deeply disturbing. It's like, I will literally be thinking about a thing and I'm thinking that's really disturbing. And then I'm thinking like, right, but Shane Black would set the guy on fire and then electrocute the puddle. How do I make that more disturbing? How do I add some next thing to it? How do I, Substance was so disturbing. How everyone involved in that movie didn't win Oscars. Like, I don't know if it's last Oscars or next Oscars. Like, they should have backed up the Oscar truck and just like tossed them out like Oprah to everyone involved. Like, it's a testament to like the Academy has not quite come around on horror yet. Like, they're still stuck in a mindset that like, those movies, those thrillers, like those movies are not Oscar movies, but like everyone in that movie gave the most vulnerable, raw, authentic, incredible performance. Just please let those people work. Let those people do what they want to do, because we want to see the movies that come from the minds of people that make films like that. Like, the world needs all of the weirdness that it can get, like all of the oddness and strangeness and scary uncomfortableness to it. It's funny because after last week's video, a friend sent me a message. He said, hey, I saw the video. He said, Jim had the same problem. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, in your video, you were just a little down and you were just like, are humans going to make it? And he was like, that's literally a line from T2. Like, we're not going to make it, are we? I mean, humans, John, the teenage John is asking the Terminator. And the Terminator is like, oh, you guys like to blow each other up. That's a thing you do. And I think that I'm at that place where it's like, I'm dealing with that same issue, which is like, when it really comes down to it, do we really, like, if this is how we treat each other and this is what we do and this is the penchant that we have, and like we just keep going back to the same well of self-destruction individually and then as a species, do we deserve to live? And it's like, oh man, that's just the Terminator problem. Like, you write a Terminator movie, that's a problem you're going to wrestle with, like psychologically, big picture philosophically, like you got to come to peace with it. But I think I've found a way to come to peace with it. I think I found a way to figure it out. But this is now Steven Soderbergh's Terminator reboot, completely unauthorized. Stay tuned for the exciting next chapter.